So lately, we've been trying to have a few more conversations with parents rather than just always having an ADA where you come and you observe what the children are learning. And of course, that's still very central to what we believe in and um, our philosophy of education, that we want to celebrate what the children are learning and giving them opportunities to show their parents what they do at school and to give you an idea of um, what a school day is like for the children at Casey High. But we've also heard from parents that they like to speak to us as well. They like to know what the school is thinking, what are some of our decisions, some of our policies, how are we thinking about middle school or high school or primary school, et cetera. And the feedback we've been getting lately is pretty positive about having these conversations. So we wanted to just have a little conversation today, especially with the middle school parents. And in particular, we want to talk about internet safety. I think that's actually the word. Uh, I think that's Hannah coming. Yeah, so I get an opportunity to introduce you to Hannah as well. And Vijana and Uttara are also here. And just some of the things we've been seeing since the pandemic has ended, thankfully, and or almost ended, at least become manageable, and we've been back to school, and seeing some of the things that we've observed as educators and teachers, and some of our concerns, but also some of our ideas and some of the steps we're taking towards helping to create a very safe and joyful school environment. Okay? And of course, we want to give you an opportunity to ask questions as well, right? So I guess I just start by Uttara. Do we have this policy somewhere clear, this guidelines for digital devices and internet safety? Where would I find it? On the website, okay. So if I go to about us, and then we go to policies, and we have a lot here, including there a lot of things to keep an eye on, actually. And which one am I looking for? This one, yeah? Yeah, but let's just look at all the different things that we have here, all of which I think are kind of interesting and important, and maybe you have questions about them. Netiquette policies, laptop recommendations, language policies, device readiness checklist, the digital media policy, the health and safety policy, school behavior and discipline, etc. So, but the one that we are really focused on today is this online safety and use of digital devices, which I have right here, okay? And, okay, so far okay? Yeah, good morning. So I guess where I'd like to start is just the most single important thing. If there's one thing to take away from this morning, it's please, please, please pay attention to number one, which is we have to talk to children about how they use the internet and how they use their devices, okay? And over again, we see that when children are having trouble, when they get involved in things like inappropriate usage and cyberbullying and these kind of things, we see that there's not a conversation happening at home about how you use these things. So by far, the most important thing is to be involved in your child's digital life. It doesn't mean you have to be a helicopter parent looking over the shoulder. It doesn't mean you have to, set up all kinds of controls and private servers and all those things, but you have to talk to your children about how they are using the internet and these devices, including phones, laptops, homework, etc. Just to be there for your kids and have these conversations. Let them tell you what they're thinking. Oftentimes, it's about being a good listener, not being a good teller. Let them talk to you about things that are going on in their lives. They have a lot that's going on in their lives. There's a lot of confusing things to them. A lot of them are having, we can't completely isolate them from the internet and all this digital world. It's just impossible. And they have questions, and they are seeing things that we didn't see when we were their age. And they want to talk about these things. And we try to give them spaces at school, but of course, you have more time with your child than your teachers do in terms of one-to-one time, right? So it's really, really important that you talk to them and listen to them and give them an idea of what your values are, what your family's values are, how you can answer their questions about the things they're learning on the internet. And when those healthy conversations are happening at home, children are much, 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 much less likely to get in trouble. By getting in trouble, I'm not meaning, getting called into the principal's office. I'm meaning doing things that are inappropriate and exposing themselves to risk and unsafe behaviors on the internet, okay? So I think that's by far the most important thing. There are a few other things that we could go through here. Please feel free to interrupt at any time. One of the things, we can't tell you how to run your home life, okay? But we think it's a good idea to put limits on how much screen time they get. One of the things that Sindhu and I were laughing about this morning is, as parents, we tend to think, oh yeah, we do have strict rules and lots of limits. But then when we look around, like anytime you're in an airport or a restaurant or anywhere like that, you see kids on the internet all the time, right? So sometimes there's a little bit of a, I hate to use this word, but I'm going to have to talk about it in a minute. There's a little bit of a discord between the rules that we think we have and the experiences we see in terms of how much screen time kids get. But putting a limit on how much screen time they get is a good idea. I'm sure of that, okay? Now, whether that limit is 1 hour per day or 3 hours per day or whatever it is from your perspective, or 15 minutes per day, whatever it is from your family, that's up to you and your family. But having some rules about when they have access to the internet is a good idea. And in particular, it's a good idea to keep them away from screen time in the hour before they go to bed. And there's been a lot of research about that. It affects their dreams, it affects their sleep, it affects everything. And another thing, which I lose this battle in my house all the time, but I would recommend you keep the phones out of the bedrooms, right? And just keep the bedrooms device-free. I know there are a lot of people that like to use their phones as alarm clocks and everything else. But to have those little noises going off during the night, I think it really disturbs their sleep. So I strongly recommend that you do not have phones in their bedrooms, right? Now, that might be a battle that you have to fight with your kids, and maybe you don't want to fight that battle. That's okay too, right? But these are just some of the things that we're seeing and we recommend. All right? Any questions so far? We sort of on the same page here? Yeah? Vijana, you want to add anything? Vijana, your daughter's in grade 9 now, is that right? So she's now an alumnus of Casey High Middle School parenting. Yeah, so these are some of the things I've already mentioned already. So, yeah, there's another thing that we have to be very careful about, and that is, it's hard for me to list them all because they change every month. But there are, so let me rewind 1 second. Let me ask you a question. What is the most valuable commodity in a school like ours? Real question. It's not a rhetorical question. The community? Great. I love that answer. Yeah. Anything else? What? The knowledge? Okay. Interesting. The kids? And what in particular about the kids? In terms of the kids. What's so difficult for us? What is so precious for us? Yeah, that's so true. I mean, absolutely true. The relationships between, yeah. And how do you build that teacher-student relationship? How is that built? Trust, right? Okay. The answer I was looking for. Your answers are great. Okay, and I like the answers. Community, relationship, trust, etc. The most valuable commodity in a school is the children's time. That's the thing we quarrel most over, right? The math teacher says, I need more time. The counselors say, I need more time. The English teacher says, I need more time. The parents say, I need them on the bus by 2:45 so they can get back for their taekwondo lesson, etc. So the children's time is a very, very, very valuable commodity. Now, we're not the only ones that see this, right? There are many commercial enterprises out there that realize how valuable the children's time is. And there are many apps and platforms and programs, etc., that are deliberately trying to suck the children's time into their platform so they can sell advertising because they realize how valuable the children's time is. And many of them are using unethical means to try to get your children's time. And that's why sometimes they have names like Secret or Whisper or something like that, because they're trying to get children to reveal their secrets, to gossip, to get into inappropriate behaviors on the internet that are stimulating and exciting and naughty. So we have to be always vigilant about what they are actually doing on the internet, okay? And one of the things that we've seen over the past few weeks, the past few months, is there's this app called Discord where we've seen a lot of trouble, okay? And if you look up the word discord in the dictionary, you will realize that it's deliberately trying to get kids to say things about each other that will get other kids to want to watch it, to want to look at it. Oh, can you believe what she said? Can you believe what he said on the internet, right? So these are actual commercial strategies by profit-making organizations that we have to be aware of, that our children's time is very valuable and that advertisers see that. Now, we can't tell you to, I've had parents say, just ban it, but I don't really know what it is. I don't use it myself. It's kind of like a kid's version of WhatsApp, I guess, and is focused more on gaming and chatting and things that kids like to do. But I can tell you this, the American Surgeon General has now recommended that social media should not be used by children under the age of 13, that it's bad for their health, okay? So I think we have to be very, very careful about some of these apps. And when I look at this Discord, for example, this is a website called Common Sense Media, and we hope you're all looking at it. It really does have a good job, do a good job of informing parents and schools and educators about all of the things that our children are doing. So if I just looked at Parents Guide to Discord. Uh, what is it? What is it all about? We'd recommend that you look at these things, okay? And you'll see that it's a chat service that's kind of focused on gaming. And, you know, there's been a lot of inappropriate stuff that's been on there. Now, that doesn't mean that your child is necessarily, if your child has a Discord account, it doesn't mean that she or he is necessarily doing inappropriate stuff, but it's something you should be aware of. And when we've seen over the past few months is that the children on this particular platform are more likely to get into inappropriate behavior. Okay, so that's one of the things we wanted to advise you about. All right, any questions? Comments? Yes. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
If I needed to, I probably, put a parental control because I'm not comfortable with him being there because I wouldn't be able to supervise it. And since it's not within the school ecosystem, there's no oversight at all. I'm not comfortable, particularly at this juncture, the 12, 13 juncture,
Mhm.
with him being on something where there is absolutely no parental control.
Mhm.
So he ultimately didn't get on it, but I think it's been close to a year that sixth, seventh grade students from the school have been on it, and almost all his friends were on it. So it was very, very tough to convince him not to get on it.
I mean, that's really tough, and I'm glad you did it actually. And it's not an easy conversation to have, but you know, we know that if we suddenly tell parents to tell all your children to get off Discord, then we're going to have a lot of fights in families about it because a lot of kids are on it, right? So it's a conversation that, first of all, I'm very happy that you had that conversation. I'm very happy that he's agreed not to be on it. But it's a difficult and challenging thing. And, you know, I would also recommend, and, you know, we have an 11-year-old daughter, and I don't want her on this thing, you know, and we speak to her about these things. And I think you're right. You know, a lot of it looks pretty innocent because a lot of it is about, oh, you know, what did you do last night, or what are we going to do? See, the children have a digital life. There's no doubt about it. And they do things like, one of the things that we're a little bit concerned about, I shouldn't say a little bit, one of the major things we're concerned about is the bus, right? And things that kids are doing on the bus. Now, some of you, your kids are not on the bus, and some of you, your kids are on the bus. And, you know, many of our children and many of our families need to have the kids using their phones to organize their lives on the bus and after the bus. So they do things like communicate with their parents. I'll be home 15 minutes late today, or the bus is going to arrive at 4:15, or, you know, I've got a basketball lesson or a math tuition or a taekwondo lesson at 4:30, and they need to have these phones. And we also have many kids who use these phones for listening to music and listening to iPods and podcasts and all of that. So we can't take the phones away from them. They have a digital life, and we have to talk to them about their digital life. But it's not an easy conversation to have. I'm glad you had it, and I would recommend to all the parents here that you try to have that conversation with your children and try to keep them, if possible, away from this platform. But you know what? In another month's time, it's going to be a different platform. And next year, it'll be a different platform. So it's really about talking to them about what you want them doing online and how they use their time. Does that make sense? Thank you for that. Anything, any other comments? Yeah. Yeah. So that's, I'm glad Hannah's here. So we do have a program called Social and Emotional Learning, and we do talk to the kids about all of these things. Hannah, do you want to introduce yourself, or do you want to come and say something? Come, come. So we have many counselors at school, and we do talk to kids both as groups and as individuals. And we try to counsel them about these things. And sometimes for some of the kids, they find that school and their teachers is a safe space to talk about things that are concerning them, right? And that's one of the reasons we have school counselors to give children the opportunity to talk about these things. And it's also why we have social and emotional learning. Would you like to say a few things? This is Hannah, our middle
Hi,
school
all.
counselor.
Hello, everyone. So, in social emotional learning, we do talk to them about self management, and we have talked to them about, and also our computer science team, and we collaborate, social counselors and the computer science team, we collaborate together, and we do talk to them about screen time, digital usage, what is safe and what's unsafe. There are a lot of anonymity. Children like to do things behind the screen, which they wouldn't do it when they are with each other, right? They like it. So we do talk to them about preserving their identity and what can they do when they are facing issues with their friends. So those are some things. These things do come up in classes, and we do help them manage their emotions.
And now, see, we're doing it once per week. Is that right, Hannah? Yeah. And once per week in social emotional learning, but also in computer science classes and their ICT classes, they get a lot of advice and guidance about how to use the internet safely.
Yeah,
Right?
they're the dedicated time for children to actually, they mostly they use content from Common Sense Media. It's a wonderful website for teachers and students and for parents as well.
Now you understand what I mean about the time being the most precious commodity, because we also have to teach kids things like math and English and science as well, right? But during the week, we only have so many periods per day. We do talk, so to answer your question, yes, we do speak to children about these things. I don't know whether we do it enough, but and I think some kids need it more than others. And that's something that we're aware of as well. And that's one of the reasons that we have one-to-one sessions with counselors when required. Vijana, you had some, yeah.
My son's grade 6 with Sophie. So this Discord thing started when we had the lockdown. When they had no access to their friends, they all started getting on Discord to talk to each other. As far as I knew, they played games on it, and the games had pets and points and energy points and I don't know what not. So they started sharing those with their friends. You don't have it, I'll give it to you, I have it. They shared links through Discord. That's where they started chatting. Now, when schools have started and everybody's back to their normal life, they have their other friends who've started quitting, who are in higher classes, like they've started quitting Discord. So they don't use Discord that much, but everybody wants to have an Instagram account, which is even more worse. So I know.
So your son is how, 12 or 11?
12.
Right, 12. Yeah, again, that's a family decision, and you have to make that. As I've said already, the U.S. Surgeon General has said social media is bad for kids under 13.
But he has this thing that, everyone's on Instagram, and I'm not, the feeling of being left out. I had told him no, no, no. So for quite a lot of time, it was not there. They are still very naive. For them, the fascination are still footballers, the games, the cartoons, and all that. But still, they want to go to a platform which would give them an exposure I don't think he's ready for.
So if that's a conversation that you need to have with your son, but I can give you a couple pieces of advice about that. First of all, make sure that you schedule a time to have that conversation, uh, not when, not at a moment of tension or anger or when there's a conflict over how they're using their phones. All right. So one of the things I always recommend is organize a time where you say, on Saturday, we're going to go out, we're going to have a nice dinner, and we're going to talk about how you're using your phone. Or maybe you can just go and have the conversation without telling them in advance. This is going to be a conversation about how you use your phone, but get them away from their devices, away from any moment of conflict, right? The worst time to talk to your child is when you catch him doing something inappropriate, right? Then you're angry, then you're upset, then you have a clash, and then things get worse. And then he starts to trust you less. So make sure that when you're having a conversation with your child, it's in a calm environment away from all of these things, okay? Secondly, I think you have to negotiate. You know, unfortunately, we're teaching children negotiation skills, and they're getting good at it, right? So you have to have a conversation. Okay, how much time do you think, if he has an Instagram account, right, then maybe you can limit 15 minutes a day, something like that. Is that okay? Right. So then you can limit it, right? And you can say, and then the third thing that I think is really, really important is make sure they're using these devices in public spaces in the house. You don't have to be looking over their shoulder watching what they're doing, but make sure they're in some space where you can be in the background and they're not going to be closing their door, locking the door in the room and using these things without any parents around, okay? So, one of the things that we were just talking about this morning, Vijana, you had something you wanted to say too, Vijana. Um, you know, it's hard to figure out as parents whether our children are using the internet, to do research, to do homework, or whether they're using it for chatting or something inappropriate, or more commonly, all of the above, right? Because they'll have 10 tabs open, and some of the tabs will be on homework, and some of the tabs will be on chatting, and all of that, right? So it's hard for us to be aware of exactly what they're doing. But one thing that is very important is if they're doing it in a room where parents are walking through the room, in the living room, in the dining room, in some place, some space, some public space in the house, we're much more likely to ensure that they're using their devices appropriately. When you let them go into their bedrooms behind a closed door, that's when a lot of trouble can start. Now, that conversation is going to get more and more difficult as they go into 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, right? But in middle school, try to have them out in the public. They can talk to their friends, they can do their homework, they can do all these things at the same time. But if the parents are walking past, things are much more likely to be okay. Vijana, you wanted to say something.
Okay. So this is me as a teacher, okay? So it's a simple anecdote just to take you to one of the classrooms. So as Mick said, there are 100 different tabs opens at every particular point of time in their laptop, right? So there was this teacher who was walking in, and immediately there are flashings happening, okay, inside a classroom, immediate flashing. So their hands walk faster than we can even imagine. Yeah. But another teacher walking in could see there was a game going on in the background. Then the stories come. You have to hear how creative they are to tell those stories. And this was open when we were in the bus. It started like that. It just pops up just like that, as if they think that we are some old generation that we don't even understand any of these things. So one thing I want to tell us all as parents over here is, let's be updated. Let us, our children, not come to us and say, you don't even know what Discord is. But the moment that happens, no, we say those things in the other, oh, I know this platform. This is the way it's been used, right? So how are you being on that? What are you doing in this? Then the conversation changes. This is something that we have seen as teachers. So the moment you say that, I don't know what's happening, they get that clue. Okay, there is something that I can do. So after a point of time, this was an interesting conversation. So 10 minutes of saying all this, finally they left out with all the possible options. Andy, we were playing. Okay. We were playing. Sorry, this will not happen again. So, two things I'm trying to say is let's gain that trust from them. And as Mick said, in that moment of anger, let's not talk at that moment because they will do. As a parent, I have seen there were moments of taking the phone, laptops here, and finally I realized it's not working out. The entire atmosphere of our house atmosphere changes. So there was yesterday a particular book my daughter wanted to read. So this book is 17 plus. Okay, so she's having this convincing conversation with us. Okay, Papa. So everything goes to Sujit the moment she wants something like this. The cover page of the book has something that I don't think is appropriate. Is it okay? Still, I get it. So the conversation, and they are trying to make us understand. So we were like, the kind of book, as you see, you think that it's appropriate for you, you talk to us about it and you get it. Let's see what is there in it, right? So we had our conversation like that. But the moment it was happening in the other way around, I did say that. But please don't share it with any of your other friends whose parents will not be fine with it. So this is simple about a book. So you might have a different kind of a conversation with your child at home, but let's not think that that's not the same way at every home environment. So let's be and give them the chance to talk. But having said that, all of us parents over here, we have had our worst moments also. We have had the situations where we had to get into this fight mode. But then seeing these many children and families, that's an advantage for us as teachers, no? So we do try to do it in a little bit subtle way. But in the classrooms, I am saying, once the teachers put their stand, they do come and tell, Auntie, we did it. We are sorry about it. But that does not mean that they won't repeat it. We are aware of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to just mention that this 85% thing. I think at so there are a few trends that I want you to be aware of. One, I think you mentioned it. During the pandemic, obviously the children used the computers and the internet a lot, right? And once they came back from the pandemic, we were all worried about this thing called a learning gap. All the educators were worried. Oh no, what have they lost? What have they lost? There's going to be a learning gap, And what we've seen is actually there are a few notable exceptions, particularly writing and math skills. But for the most part, they've come back smarter than ever, right? And, and it turned out we don't really need to worry so much about the learning gap, but what we have noticed is what I would call a behavior gap, that they fell out of the routine of going to school, going to class, being instructed by teachers, behaving well, and they just sort of got confused about how to behave. Everything from literally how to walk down the corridor, to how to get to class on time, and to how to get out your notebook, and to how to speak to other people, face-to-face communication, how to communicate to the aunties, etc. So what we've really been focused on more than anything else this year, and I think we're making a lot of progress here, is just trying to get back into these routines of good behavior, right? The other thing is we kind of expected, okay, now everybody's all used to the internet and the digital world, and we were a little bit more liberal with the use of devices when they came back. And what we've seen, particularly in grade 8, is taking them away has been beneficial, right? So now we're starting to see the benefit of just old-fashioned class time and reading and writing and using pencils and using rulers and some of these things. So, we took away the laptops from the 8th graders, and we told them at the time, and this is on YouTube, so I better be careful, but we told them at the time it's going to be a 2-week experiment, right? And the 2 weeks have gone on now for about 10 weeks. And we've seen that things have gotten better. Am I right, Vijana? Yeah? And So now we're moving more towards, you know, when I look at what I'm calling here the spectrum of educational philosophy about the internet, you do have, you know, different schools and different philosophies. So there's this philosophy sort of, let's play in the garden, internet is a terrible thing, devices are terrible things, separate them from the digital world. There are many schools and schools that were set up by visionaries a long time ago before the internet was here, and they say, no, technology is a bad thing, we can't have kids using technology. Then there's some schools that have this philosophy of, you know, let's give iPads to 4-year-olds. The educational games of these iPads and the math skills they're learning are so amazing. And I've been to many educational conferences where this is the philosophy of many people. I would say we're kind of on that side a little bit, but kind of in the middle. But there's a few things that we're aware of that you may or may not be aware of with your children in middle school. One is that grades 9, 10, and especially 11 and 12 and university are unthinkable without the internet, right? They have to have these skills in order for them to be successful in grades 11 and 12 and at university. So that's why we're bringing it in slowly in middle school. But I think we've settled on this number of at least 85% of their time while they're at school, in middle school, we want them not on the devices. They do have their computer science class. They do have times when they need to use the internet. That's understandable. But for the most part, we don't want them on their devices. Of course, they need a device for when they need to use the internet, but nowadays we're drifting more and more towards the let's let them play and use pens and pencils. And you know, the surprising thing is, you take it away, and then the first day they complain and they gripe, but by the next day they've forgotten, okay? So that's why I think it's been going pretty well there. The other trend, of course, that we have to be aware of is as they move towards grades 9, 10, 11, and 12, you're gonna see more and more of the internet, and that's just unavoidable. Yes?
Internet stuff and what's going on. And sometimes, you know, what happens if parents are working also, it it's like, okay, if you're doing it, this has come up, it's not always possible to see what they are doing. So I think the hybrid model has to be there because they have to learn to use. But I was just wondering if the school can partner also with the parents on literally putting the foot down on the basic fundamentals which are non-negotiable, which I do, you know, because I do also tell my patients, I'm a pediatric ophthalmologist, and believe me, out of 10, one kid is having an anxiety disorder that we have to refer to a psychiatrist. So we just hope that any one of our kids don't go into that parameter because it's a very flip part. You know, you just don't know when they're going. So one thing what I was wondering was if we can have a buddy system, and we know all the do's and don'ts of internet that I don't have to tell, and each, let's say, a middle grader, the kids those who are the naughtiest are the ones who should be put on there and, you know, kind of be told. I mean, as an example, that's what we see. So they should have a buddy system where the junior kids can be told that they are going to explain do's and don'ts of the net. And the other things are like non-negotiable things, which I do tell is sleeping 8 hours. Take the internet time off by 8:39. I don't care whether homeworks are finished or not. Let the school or teacher and you work it out. Other thing is 1 hour of playing outside. So these things, you know, there is not more than one outing or when you're going out and eating. And most of the homeworks, if possible, if they are getting on the, you know, you get the PDF files and all, get the printouts. So if we can also get away and, you know, we can add more things depending upon the grades, the non-negotiable things, if can be insisted more, they know. So after 6 months, I have been reached where at 8:30 the devices comes to us. The alarm clock is still put on her mobile phone, which I said, I'll get you an alarm clock. Because, you know, I had seen and caught my girl where she gets up at 6 o'clock and on this thing. So now what to do? So the devices have to be out of the bedroom, and I used to count the hours. She used to get mad at me. I said, 8 hours if I see you out of the bed. No, because then I realized after 2, 3 months, they get sleep deprived. So maybe if we can come out on a model of a buddy system where they also feel responsible. Okay, sixth grader is, I am the one who is grooming that group of kids. These are the do's and don'ts of the net. Yeah, I am still not okay. I don't know what can be the system, but something we have to really come up and put the foot down.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, again, this comes back to, I mean, we've got Ganesh and RT here. Well, first of all, with kids in middle school, they listen to nobody better than older kids. There's no doubt that research is very clear that older teenagers are the most credible kids in their world, right? And if we can, as part of the social and emotional learning program, get some of the older kids talking to them about how to responsibly use the internet and these devices, that would certainly be an effective means of talking to them. And of course, we can choose the right kids. Some of them, we can choose the right kids. But again, like I said, the most precious time, the most precious resource in a school is the children's time. So it's hard for us to dedicate a lot of 11th and 12th graders' time. But as you know, we do have a lot of conversations between kids of different age groups at this school, and we find it's a very, very effective way of working with children. So that's something that I'm sure Hannah's taking note of and something we can do. And then those other non-negotiables, I think we've talked about them already. I strongly agree with you about keeping the devices out of the bedroom, about having bedtimes, about limiting screen time, absolutely. But this part about the number of children suffering from anxiety and depression and mental health issues, it's really a pandemic. It really is. And we're trying our best, and that's why we have such a good and big team of counselors. And believe me, we have these issues like any school, and we're doing our best to try to give each and every child whatever she or he needs in terms of the counseling and the support to deal with these things. But I think over and over again, as I said at the very beginning, when we find children feeling isolated, feeling lost, feeling desperate, it's oftentimes because there's not enough of an adult presence in their lives. And spending quality time away from devices with children, planning activities such as sports and meals and family time and good conversations and watching movies together, even that, going out together, just walking on the beach together, doing these kind of activities is the single best antidote to having these kind of problems, these anxiety problems and these inappropriate usage problems. Yeah? What else? Yes. We do for the most part give hard copies of the textbooks. I mean, one of the issues that we come across a lot is that the children themselves oftentimes ask us for putting the assignments and giving them soft copies. So I mean, I think every class is a little bit different and every subject's a little bit different. I know that in mathematics we give hard copies to all the kids in all their classes, but we also give them soft copies. And some of them, which one is it? Which the Pemberton book. Yeah, they have a soft copy and they have a hard copy as well. Yeah. So, but sometimes the hard copy is just sitting in the cubby, right? And so we've given them hard copies. I don't know, maybe your child was missing on that particular day. Who's your child? Milan. Okay, I'll make sure that he's got the hard copy, okay? Yeah. Yeah, he's got a hard copy of that book, or he should. Maybe he was missing that day, or as I said, there are a lot of hard copies sitting in the cubbies. I see that it's about time, am I right, Vijana? Okay, they're coming. Yeah. Okay, so thank you so much for having this chat or listening to me. Sorry I spoke too much, but we do try to build common understandings between parents and the school about what we're doing. So we really appreciate you coming today, and we will continue to have these conversations and to try to do the best for your children. Okay? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Bye-bye.
Hello. Hello, can you hear me? Okay, good morning, parents and grade 8. Grade 8, I request you to be a little silent during the presentation. And I see some of you have bought in some books, so you can make note of your questions, which will be answered, hopefully. Yeah? And we'll start off with okay, I'm Aarti, and this is Ganesh, and we are the IGCSE coordinators. And we'll start off with we have some of our grade 9 and IB1 learners here. So children had questions about these, let's say, optional subjects that they have not learned in up to grade 8. So they're going to give you a brief overview of what the subject is. We'll start with Afnan.
So I'm Afnan, I'm from grade 9 and I'm going to be talking about literature. So literature is a subject that involves a lot of dedication from the student. It's a subject that people should take if they're inclined to reading, if they like reading, and if they're good at analyzing text and finding hidden meanings. So why I took literature was because it's a subject that will help me a lot in the future, whether it makes me a good speaker, it helps me write better. It'll improve my writing, and it'll improve my vocabulary, because literature is much more advanced compared to first language English, so it also helps you in English. So in literature, the year is almost in 3 parts. The 2 years, 9th and 10th, you do it in 3 parts, which is divided. So you do poetry, prose, and drama, which poetry you choose 15 to 12 to 15 poems, which you do throughout the 2 years. And then prose is where you do a novel, which you read. And drama is when you choose a specific play, which the class chooses, and they analyze it. And if they want, they can enact it as well. That's the choice you have. And
Hi everyone, my name is Vayudvi and I'm from grade 9, and I'm going to talk about economics. So let's say you have money and you put it in the bank. How do you know what's going to happen to that money? And that's why I chose economics, because I wanted to know how money works and how it moves around. So the main skill that you learn from economics is basically just connections. You learn to connect one thing to another. So they'll ask, basically our classes go like, they'll ask you a question, what are the factors of this, what made this happen? And you have to think in so many different ways, and there's so many different ways you have to think, and to what made that small thing happen. So economics is really about the foundations, and it's really important because if, let's say you take business and you want to know how to create a company and make profit and all that, how are you going to do that if you don't know how your money is going to move around? How are you going to do that if you don't know the essential things you need to know, the foundations of it? And that's what economics basically is. It's a subject that will help you a lot in your everyday life. Even if you don't want to do economics in college or take it as a career, it's going to help you so much in your everyday life. And that is why I chose it. It's not only a subject, it's a life skill. And it's also really fun to do when you get something right. Your mind, you would learn new different ways of thinking. You learn to think about all the factors that can influence a situation. You learn about like consumer behavior and so many more. So econ is a very interesting subject, and I hope a lot of you take it.
Hello everyone, I'm Chahat and I take IGCSE History. So Cambridge IGCSE History looks at international events that took place in 19th and 20th centuries. It also covers events and regions more in depth, like Germany, Russia, USA, World War I. In history classes, there are a lot of debates, group discussions, and a lot of participation involves. It also helps you boost your confidence, because when you have to present in front of a lot of people, you get the flow of how to go through everything. And I chose history because it helps me make very effective and appropriate decisions in the future, because I know this has happened in the past, so I'm a step ahead and I can just like make effective decisions. History is very fun because it involves a lot of like thinking and critical thinking, and you have to write a lot of essays, and you also need one coursework that is like a long-term assignment throughout the 2 years of IGCSE curriculum. Thank you.
Hi everyone, so I'm Pinga and I have taken computer science as one of my subjects for IGCSE. So the reason I chose computer science is because whether I take it as my main career option or not, it'll be very helpful because in every single industry and field, technology and computer science is always involved. So I chose it because it's a very interesting subject, and also everyone uses devices and laptops and phones every single day, but not a lot of people actually know what goes on behind the screen. And I was curious about that, so I chose it, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people are curious about that. So yeah, and computer science does have a lot of theory, but there's also an aspect which involves a lot of problem solving skills, and that's actually very fun because there's like algorithms and programming. And this year, we're going to be learning Python as our programming language, and yeah, it's actually very fun and interesting. So
Hello, everybody. My name is Rayan Reddy, and I'm going to be talking about business studies. So, for you guys, I'm going to be answering 3 key questions. First, why did I choose business studies? What are the key differences between business studies and economics? And why would I recommend business studies for you? So, first, why I chose business studies. So, it gives you a very real insight to how businesses are run in the real world. For example, studying business studies in 9th and 10th will show you how to make the best market strategies if you want to have a company in the future. What are the best pricing strategies? Is competitive pricing always the way to go? Etc. You learn all of that in IGCSE business across only a 2-year course. The next question is, what are the key differences between business and economics? So economics and business have similar topics like trade unions, mergers, etc. But economics focuses more on analyzing and understanding a single market using the powers of supply and demand. But business is more about maximizing profit and etc. So why would I recommend it for you? So first, taking business studies would open lots of opportunities for you to take majors in college. And when you go out after college, business would have given you already a foundation to start a business or take up another career path. And the classes are conducted in a very good way, and it's very easy to grasp and understand hard topics. So I would definitely recommend it. Thank you.
Hi everybody, I'm Naisha. I'm currently in IB1 and I had taken IG Art and Design. So it's a very time consuming and challenging subject, and I suggest that you only take it if you're really interested in art and design and if you want to pursue it further on. So there are 2 components to art and design. You have the set exam and then you have the coursework. So you mainly work on the coursework for the longer duration of the 2-year program. So you have so this is what I did for the coursework. So it starts with
This is one component, which is the coursework.
so it starts with the first part, which is the record, which is A1 record. So in this part, you basically collect all your ideas, you make your mind map, and you start sketching. You start sketching, and you basically just explore techniques. And then for explore, you collect different like you have mediums. You explore mediums, and you start compiling everything together, and then you basically you compare artists and you try to relate that to your topic and how that that can connect. So you take those artists' ideas and then you connect it with your original theme. And present is basically trying to inculcate whatever you've done and put that all together. So that's what I did. And your final artwork is whatever you've learned, you put that all together, and you try to bring all those materials together, all those mediums, those ideas and techniques, you put it all together, and you try to create one artwork. So that's what the art and design program mostly is.
Hi everybody, my name is Diyadagar, I'm from IG1, and I take drama. So in IG drama, you get to explore different characters, you get to be them, understand them, make fun of them. You get to put a lot of you in it as well. You get to be your own unique self. there are different types of expressions to portray these characters, be it in theater, film, street play, puppeteering, so on and so forth. You learn improvisation and acting skills, and all that goes into creating a stage production. From costumes and makeup, to lighting and sound, to cast and crew. You get to show your perspective and express yourself. Personally, for me, IG drama is one of my favorite subjects, and if anything of what I said interests you, please consider taking IG drama. It'll be worth it. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Akhil Varma. I'm from IG Year 1, and I have chosen music as my subject this year. Music is a subject that requires prior knowledge and understanding. You must have at least a Trinity grade 3 level of theory and practicals to really understand what's going on in class. It might get a little hectic at first, but once things start to progress, you'll really start to pick it up. And it's really fun. You get to do quizzes, you get to listen to all kinds of music. There are 3 components for IG music over the course of 2 years: listening, composing your own piece, and performing a piece. So composing your own piece is difficult. It takes a lot of time and patience. You have to really like music to take this subject. And it might sound a little difficult, but it's definitely worth it. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Simran Mehra and I'm from IB1. So in my IG years, which was last year, I took DT as one of my subjects, optional subjects. So you wonder, right, what are different things made of, and you may also have a lot of problems which do not have products to solve it, right? So what we basically do in DT is you identify a problem, which is an everyday life problem that could be solved using a product. So what I designed was a bottle cooler. So it didn't really work out that well, that's fine, but all you have to do is you start off by thinking of ideating a problem. You go through the mind map process, and then different drawings, and then you finally come up with a prototype. And then what you do is you either make the final product yourself, or you you export the prototype from an outside person who makes it for you. So this involves a lot of drawing in it. So personally, I had no experience in drawing, and I was really bad at it. But there's also one teacher who really helps out when it comes to drawing. So they teach you different drawings, like perspective drawings. So you learn all of that. And finally, what we have to make is a coursework. So the coursework is like a really long document. It takes a lot of time and a lot of effort to do it. So, but it's a lot of, like doing the whole thing, it's a lot of fun. So apart from the coursework, there's also another paper. So you either choose resistant materials or you choose graphic products. I personally chose resistant materials. So it was basically what are the different types of materials that could be used to make a certain product. And another group chose graphic products. Is there anyone here who does graphic products? Do they offer it now? Okay, so there's another group that's graphic products. So doing 2 years of DT, I'm doing DT now again in IB, and it's made it a lot more easier because I know how to go about the whole process. So doing this and doing it once again, so doing it now in IB has become a lot more easier because I basically have to do the same thing all over again. So I have that experience of doing it for 2 years, and I know the ups and downs that it takes and the effort it takes. So since I like the whole process a lot and I'm willing to do it again, so I've taken it once again in IB, and it's a lot more easier now. That's about it, I think, for optional subjects. Thank you, everyone.
So do you have any questions about these optional subjects? No questions. You guys have made it very clear. Thank you, guys. You can go to class. You have a question, yes.
For design and technology, you said the first part was finding resources. What is the second part like? No, you said finding the certain material.
No, that's for rested materials. So you think of like what is this made of, right? There are different woods that can be used to make a certain table. They teach you the different woods that you can use, different plastics. So you learn all different types of plastics, different types of woods and all, and that's one paper component. And the technology part comes in when it comes to CAD designing. Yeah, so design technology. Design is where you draw and you make a product, and the technology part comes in for CAD, which is basically an online software that you use to design products. And this year, they've also gotten a 3D printer. So with that online software, you can automatically get a product through a 3D printer. They'll teach you all that.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a long process.
Can you pass on this mic?
It starts off with design thinking. The whole subject is called design and technology. So it starts off with design thinking and ends with like a final working prototype. And if a student does not get their final product, that doesn't mean they get lesser grades or anything. It's just the whole process and how the coursework looks.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, kids.
Ms. Geeta, can you make sure they're going to their math class? Yes, Ganesh.
Okay, now we have the big elephant at our doorstep, the big list of IGCSE subjects for at KC High. 8th graders, are we listening? Okay. So the other day, most of you were with us in the biology lab. You guys have already seen this list. And of course, parents also have got this pre-read to go through the subjects which we offer at KC High. We have some 19 subjects offered in our school, and it comes under 6 subject groups, like group 1 being language and literature, group 2 is basically the languages, or we call it as language acquisition, and third group is humanities and social sciences. Font. Zoom in. It's okay. And group 4, we have sciences, and 5th group is mathematics, and last group is creative and professional group. Now, why we have subjects in 6 groups is basically Cambridge expects every learner to do subjects across all groups. Okay, and also there is a purpose for us to offer subjects under all 6 groups is we have something called as IBDP after IGCSE. I'll also show you that plan, and you can see kind of similarity between IGCSE and IBDP. So you can mentally prepare yourself for the next 4 years in high school at KC High. We have something called as the 4-year plan. This is very important for every high school learner once they step into high school to kind of take informed decision about their subjects, at the same time to suit your continuum in the IBDP program as well. We oftentimes see some of the kids choosing subjects randomly, and then when they come to IBDP, they don't have options to choose. Because in IBDP, you have no scope of choosing more than 6 subjects. Whereas in IB, you can explore all the way till 8 subjects. So we have to take an informed decision about the subjects. When it comes to IGCSE, as we saw the subjects before the previous one, we have some subjects marked within brackets as coursework. Those coursework subjects are the ones which we saw, some of them on the stage with our learners expressing what they actually learn in those subjects. How are they equally important? For example, Naisha talked about her intense coursework in art and design. So it all depends on the time commitment, personal engagement. It starts with a process and finishes with an outcome. So every coursework subject has this pathway. All right, and some of these subjects we also put it as mandatory. That part, I think Aarti will deal it after 2 slides. And then the last group is very, very interesting group because that gives you what you call as a broad spectrum of subjects where you have a lot of coursework subjects coming under that group. We call it as professional and creative group. And here, global perspectives is an interdisciplinary subject. You can see in groups, both groups 3 and 6. That means it is a kind of humanities subject. So any child who has not chosen any subject in group 6, GP can bridge in there. Like for example, you have taken GP and economics and you have no subjects in group 6, GP can come and do the filler job there. Do you get that? Yes? And we have something like coordinated sciences double award, which is like one subject but 2 credits. Like if you say you have economics, business studies, these are all like single credit system subjects, whereas coordinated science is a double award because it is integration of all the 3 sciences, the basic sciences like physics, chemistry, and biology. The course is very intense, and of course, you have to read a lot, you have to learn a lot of practical skills, which will prep you for your diploma program when you are planning to choose 2 of the 3 sciences or one of the 3 sciences basically. Clear? And next slide, you see the 4-year plan with IBDP subjects offered at KCI as of date. Things could change. There are some additions, some could be deletions. And till 2023, we were offering these subjects. So in the coming years, we would add on, we would remove. This all depending on subject choices, what the learners do. And you can see the continuum there. Only a slight difference we have is that business management here in group 3, whereas in IGCSE it is under group 6. Yeah. So we have, when we move to IB diploma program, the approach is very much different there. You have 2 levels of subjects. Any student who is stepping into IB diploma program will have to choose 6 subjects. In that, your English, mathematics, and group 2 language acquisition, that is basically your second language, becomes mandatory. And you have the option of choosing 3 higher level subjects, which we call it as HLs, and 3 standard level subjects, we call it as SLs. You can do the combinations based on your career pathway. That's where we have every level, like after your IGCSE, a bit of counseling coming into play to take you to a career path and then fixing subjects. That's why we give you the 4-year plan in advance when you step into IGCSE program, so that you have some continuum from IGCSE all the way till IBDP. Clear? Yes? Okay.
And here I'd like to add on, if you want to take a subject at a higher level at the IB, you better start at the IG. Let's say you want to take DT at the HL level when you go to IB, start with DT now. It makes it much easier because higher level, like the level says, it's going to be much higher. So you need to be prepared from now. So that's why think about the higher level subjects you might want to take. So these are the subject choices for this batch of 27. So in your mandatory subjects, you can either take English as first language or literature in English. One of the 2, we won't be offering both. Meaning a child cannot take English as first language and literature. They take one of the 2. Coordinated sciences, international mathematics or additional mathematics, global perspectives or history, second language. So like Chahat was talking about the history coursework, it is as intensive as a global perspectives coursework. So one coursework there will bridge the gap. The whole reason of us having bought global perspective as a mandatory subject is to build in research skills for learners, because that is where there is a slight lag. If they do not take certain subjects in IG, they won't know how to research, how to find the primary sources, how to critically evaluate that. So we've made GP a compulsory subject so that the transition to IB is going to be much easier. And in optional subjects, you can choose up to 2 subjects from these combination: computer science or music or art and design, design and technology or drama, economics, business studies or geography. The way we've kind of put these combinations are, we've seen most children who want to take computer science and DT as a combination. So we kept them in separate groups. They want to take business and economics together. Sometimes they want to take DT and business. So these combinations really work. And if we say they take music, they'll usually take drama. If they take art and design, they also take DT. So we've worked out combinations in such a way that, you know, their career path needs are kind of met. Am I making sense there? So any questions about so far? Yeah.
What is the difference between international and additional mathematics?
Okay, so they've already started advanced mathematics in your class. You kind of know the difference between both. It's a similar difference. Okay, so if anybody wants to do math at the HL level, you ask me a question, I'm answering you. Yeah. If you've taken math, if you want to take math at the HL level, then you can take additional math, because that will involve a lot more of calculus. And international math will have something called investigation and modeling. That is not going to be there in additional math. Okay? Yes, second language is mandatory at the IBDP. No, in IBDP, totally 6 subjects, which is 3 at HL and 3 at SL. Yeah, but that is inclusive of those mandatory, which is English, second language, and math, which can be at HL or SL. Visual arts is something like this. Visual arts is the same thing, art and design. They can also do digital art. Art and design. Art and design becomes visual arts there. Design and technology is design and technology. We have both.
That comes in group 4 if you see. So there is a slight adjustment in subjects with groups in IBDP.
Yeah, group 6 is design and technology. What happens here is they're all under professional and vocational, but design and technology, why is the slide moved? Design and technology, computer science move to sciences, and business studies moves to humanities. It's just rejuggling. No. They have to take across all subjects. In the 6, they need not take something in the group 6. They can choose to take in either sciences or humanities. Eight subjects, yes. Because coordinated sciences is counted as 2 subjects. Any other questions with subject combinations?
To qualify IGCSE.
Thank you, Prisha. Please give the answer.
7.
Yeah, we expect you to at least take 7 subjects. To get your IG certificate, you only need 5. Yeah, but we don't encourage anybody to take just 5 subjects. Okay? So what our expectation is, take about 8 is a good number to take. 7 if you have outside school activities wherein you're pursuing music, you're pursuing something at the national level, some sports and stuff like that, then okay, you can take 7 subjects to make it slightly easier on your schedule. But trust me, 8 is a good number to take. CAS and TOK, that when they come for the IB orientation, that's a different ball game. We'll get them the IB orientation. TOK is theory of knowledge. CAS is community, activity, and service.
Creativity, activity.
Creativity, activity, and service.
And
okay.
they are the core of IBDP, if you want to add on.
Is GP mandatory, or can you take GP or history?
You can take GP or history.
So GP is not mandatory.
If you're taking history, GP is not mandatory.
Because you said GP.
Will we have study hours?
You will have lots of study hours at your house, and you can make use of that. At school, you will not have study hours.
What is Spanish AB initio?
Okay, Spanish ab initio is Spanish at the beginner's level. When you come into IG for second languages, you can it's at the 9th grade level. Just like how English and math is at the 9th grade level, even languages, second languages are at the 9th grade level. So you don't have an option of switching your second languages. But when you go to IB, you do have that option of switching to another language, which is where you see Spanish AB and Spanish B. So Spanish AB and French AB are at the beginning level. They'll start from alphabets. But it'll finish up all this middle school years. It'll come up to the final exam will be like middle school Spanish what they're writing. So it's very accelerated. But they start from basics. Yes. Coordinated sciences question, is it? Yes. Okay. okay, now the syllabus has been revised for coordinated sciences. Yes.
Okay, that's a big shock for most of us. Or good
Does
news
it
for
does the delta increase or does the delta decrease?
delta increase.
Increase?
Yes. The content part of it, definitely it has gone to revamp. They have added some essential topics which were not there originally in coordinated sciences. Like for example, I could say topics of immunology, genetic engineering, those were not there earlier. Now they have brought in, we also have nuclear physics, space physics in coordinated sciences. They have added this for this batch. So I can definitely vouch, since I hail from coordinated sciences, I have been teaching for last couple of years. Definitely the current syllabus, what this group is going to finish in 2025, will give them a good scope for them to do HL and HL levels in IBDP.
Okay, coming back to the basic question, there is a gap, right? Are we acknowledging that there is a gap between coordinated and individual subjects? Right now the gap is... No, for 2025.
2025 gap is... Gap.
Oh, there is no gap. So delta has decreased then. Okay,
Yes.
not increased.
I mean, okay, I got that question. So the gap, what you are asking, the objectives, everything is now filled in with the current revamp.
There's another question. Can we switch from Hindi to Spanish ab initio in grade 9?
Grade 9, there is no Spanish ab initio. Spanish ab initio is only offered the IB program. So in grade 9, there is no way to switch your second languages.
So now, why did we encourage people to do a lot of subjects across subjects group? Is something what we see here is ICE award. It is an international recognition given by Cambridge, where every child is encouraged to do 7 subjects across 6 groups, provided you also have 2 languages, one from group 1 English or literature, and the other one from group 2 languages, plus 5 other subjects from between groups 3 and 6. Now, this award has got some credit to your transcript as well as to build your portfolio, because universities definitely would see these are your additional accomplishments in your high school level. And in the first year part of your high school, like in grades 9 and 10, when you are doing subjects more than 6, 7 or 8, and you are getting this ICE award with some recognition given by Cambridge, definitely it adds weight to your portfolio. Shouldn't you be aiming for it? Yes? So go for the required number what Auntie was suggesting. Definitely it would be interesting and a fun learning for you in IGCSE. You have a lot to explore. It will be interesting, and also at the same time gives you good scope for you to choose your subjects for the continuum in IBDP. Clear? Any questions regarding ICE award? You don't have such a recognition in IBDP because diploma itself is a recognition for you to step into university. Okay? Okay. Now we have some suggestions from Aarti will take over.
Yes, we have it here. So some suggestions for subject choices from our end. So please choose subjects which you are interested in. Okay, don't choose subjects just because your parents want you to choose, or your friend is choosing, or this teacher looks better. I've heard this teacher does better, okay? Please don't choose subjects with that in mind. Choose the subjects that you like learning, because it's a 2-year process, right? And before we get on, IGCSE is a 2-year program. So every subject you'll be learning is over 2 years. So if we give you a textbook and notebook, it means it's for 2 years. The whole textbook will finish in 2 years' time. So don't lose your books. So yeah, this we did speak about. Keep IBDP in mind. You can choose a minimum of 7 subjects, maximum of 8. So this is the best place for you to explore. So choose those 8 subjects, explore now, then you can make your final choices for IB. So now coming to coursework, you did hear from the learners that coursework is tedious. Yeah. So mandatory, all of you will have one coursework with either GP or history, right? So choose one more subject with coursework. Don't try and be ambitious and choose two, because coursework does take a lot of time. And you will be putting in time at school to complete coursework. You will have to take back work home as well. Otherwise, these kind of paintings are not going to be done, right? And this is just one part of our coursework. Same thing with DT. You saw all this CAD, CAM, designing, making the prototype. It is very time consuming. So keep that in mind. 2 coursework subjects only. Don't try and choose 3. We've had learners in the past choose 3 and it was really a struggle. Yeah, the last one. Since it's a big batch, only if we have a minimum of 8 students per subject will we be even offering a subject. If we have less than 8, it might not be a possibility for us to offer you the subject. So we can help you, guide you with subject choices. I know right now you guys are not thinking very long term, but at least you know what subject you're good at and what interests you. So with that in mind, we can put together the subject package for you, okay? So if you're not able to do it on your own, do reach out to us. We can sit together with your parents, you, and we can come up with some ideas or some combinations. So you want that? Ganesh, can we go back to the previous slide? So you can mail us at HS, now it's no longer MS, hs@kchigh.com. Please mail us there. And we'll be sending you a subject selection form. Okay, so this form, you need to fill this up. Please, your parents will actually need to fill in this form. Okay, we'll be sending it to them by mail today. So you can complete it by 20th March. So you have enough time to discuss. And if you want to visit some classes happening in IG, you want to go to the DT class to see what's happening. You want to go to art and design, you want to see a drama class in progress, do let us know. We'll arrange for that as well.
For some of the courses like design and technology, will the learners have an opportunity to work with the industry, real product manufacturing companies and such? And will they get a chance to do some field work and get some hands-on experience, or is it going to be just in the classroom?
See, when they're making their prototype, they are in the classroom. They usually go for a lot of industrial visits. And it's depending on the learner. We also have a person coming in for carpentry. We have a person coming in for robotics. So they do work with them to make their prototypes. In case the prototype is very ambitious that we can't do it at school, then we put them on to somebody who they can go outside and work with. So possibilities, all possibilities are available. Yes, and we also do have internships going on as soon as they come into grade 9. So probably by the 2nd semester. So then they do a lot of field work. Right now we have people working with Environmental Foundation of India. They're going to work with Bay of Life. We also have a DT workshop that's going to happen. So these opportunities will also be available to students to do hands-on work and field work.
On the form, there was like some numbers on the right-hand side. Are they like important?
They are subject codes. Okay. Yeah. We'll also be sending you a syllabus document today, which will have like English as first language is 0500. So if you go to that syllabus document for English, you'll be able to see what the entire thing comprises of. Yeah. No, I think people on
in case student wants to switch, after a few months they can't cope up, then when do you decide on that? Is there any time?
No. Because we've given you a month's time. Okay, so in between what happens is now they can't shift from one subject to another subject because it becomes very difficult. Yeah, so and also the minimum of 8. Suppose we have a minimum of 8 and we started a subject and one child drops out, then it doesn't work well with the cohort. So that's why we're giving you enough time. Please explore it, make the choices now. That's the best thing to do. It starts now, yes.
Since there's a minimum of 7 subjects, what if someone takes 7 subjects, but since there are 8 periods for the 8 subjects, what will we be doing in that hour? Where
we will find something for you to do, okay? Good idea. With
We
7,
call
you're
it
just going to
as,
get 2 subjects.
Self-study
Take
hour.
8.
There is nothing like free. Free hours are outside school. That's what Aarti aunty told in the beginning itself.
Mukundan, you had a question? Has it been answered?
Okay, I think this is what you have been asking for about the IGCSE exam series. Yes, so you'll be successfully completing IGCSE in 2025, year 2025, and you'll be graduating from KC High at 2027. That means you finish your IB diploma and leaving to colleges. Okay, so in IGCSE, you will complete most of the subjects. That means for most of you, your exams are done by March 2025. And some of you, if you are taking Tamil, drama, music, DT, etc., you will do it in May, June series. So we have split. Why we have done this? Because these subjects are not offered in March. March is very much of India exclusive series. Okay, so subjects which are available in March series, we also have it here. At the same time, we send them for exams which we are not given, which is not given by Cambridge in March series into May, June series. And the exam fee is £69 for all syllabuses and 130. It's just double the price, and it is subject to change when you come for 2025. This is just a tentative fee given by Cambridge.
Three months less, it works. We've been doing it for the last 2 years now.
Yeah. The present 23 exams are still happening. If you could see, like, we have pushed majority of subjects to Feb-March series because we have a purpose of doing it. Post Feb-March, we have a plan for them that we told in the coffee morning of last month, if you had visited or if you had seen our presentation. No. Why did they give India exclusive March series? Is our college systems exams are over, like CBSE, ISE exams are over by Feb-March. So that's when they also brought in India specific. Now they have added one more country called Romania into it. So we have 2 countries in Feb-March series. Yes. It's 2. So we have 6 in the mandatory, plus 1 becomes the 7th one, plus 1 becomes the 8th one. So beyond that, it would be too much for any learner to cope up. So now it's a Q&A time. You can ask any questions if you have, any doubts you have. Yeah. Definitely. You should have one second language to complete the IB diploma program.
One of our subject teachers told that you can do any one of your 10th grade exams in 9th grade. Is it possible?
We can try that, but we also have to see what level you are at that point. Like you are really exam ready.
Okay,
Okay.
there was a question here. How many hours of PE do you have? We will never compromise on PE. You have 2 hours per week.
Now, Samyukta had a question. Wanted to know.
So I told you IG will be fun. No, give you 2 hours. Go away.
Yeah, the question from Samyukta was, she heard from her seniors or from some teachers saying that they can do an exam in grade 9 at the end of grade 9. So it is again like case to case basis we are trying it. If you are really ready, if you have really acquired the required skills of that particular subject, we are, and also it depends on your commitment to other activities like outside school. You are a national player. You have so many tournaments lined up. You have a music concert. Okay, you are a performer. So we have taken that into consideration, and you do some other courses outside KC, like a program where you are required to devote a lot of after school hours. That's when we bring in that model of completing it. Okay, it's not like for everybody. We want you to take that 18 months of IGCSE journey and then move into IBDP. Did that answer your question, Samyukta? Any questions here?
Seven subjects, they are eligible for that ICE award. So, but if the student completes 8 subjects, is there any specific? It's the same thing. So even if you do 7 or 8, it is technically there is no separate extra credit or nothing.
So I'll just give you a little classification about that ICE.
That is come back to that, so it's easier for them to understand.
Okay. So this ICE award comes as 3 categories. We have distinction, merit, and just pass. Okay. You have 7 subjects and you have 5 A's. That means A grades or higher, you will get the distinction award. And you have 5 B's and a little C's, you'll come under merit category. And anything lesser than that, you'll have like a ICE pass award. Okay. So most of our learners have gotten into merit category because that's like a distinction anybody could acquire. Of all the 7 or 8 subjects they have, they can definitely get 5 A's. We are not even looking at A stars, we are just looking at A's. So this tells like the level of, the percentage what they get in their final IGCSE exams. So the minimum requirement for them is 7 subjects across 6 groups. And you could do 8 subject, 9 subject. There is no limitation over there. But we prefer them doing 8 subjects because that's where our timetable is designed.
Okay, but having that added 8 subject is no extra.
No,
credit.
it does add. Like for example, you have 7 subjects and you got exactly 5 A's in those out of the 8 subjects, and the remaining are like in B and C, you still get a distinction there.
Okay.
You
So
get
it's
that?
basically just to work on to that chances, the probability of
Exactly.
having more A's.
That's why
or
they
B
give that
stars.
scope of you to choose across all groups.
Okay.
And also to keep your options open for IB. The more subjects you take in IG, you know which one you're better at. So it gives you a lot more options for your IB. So like we said, this is the best place for them to explore subjects that they want to take. And then later on, they can take it as a hobby. They can do an AP even if they don't take it in IB, right?
So the minimum number of learners for any course or subject is 8. How did we come up with that number?
We used to have 5 when it was a smaller batch. Now that it's a bigger batch, we've just come up with 8.
So there will be some learners and some subjects which will not have the minimum.
Yeah, otherwise it doesn't become feasible for us to offer those subjects. Like say literature has just 2 people, then it becomes very difficult for them to do any coursework, even interact with each other.
So let's say a learner chooses a subject which doesn't have the quorum of 8. Can you tell us the process of how the child will be guided to then select another course?
It depends on which course it is. So sometimes we can put them, it depends on what we have on grade 10 as well, how many numbers we have. Sometimes you can have a combined class. There'll be many different options that we'll have to, on individual case-by-case basis, we'll have to work this out. That is why we ask you to give by March, so that, and sometimes it'll just be convincing another child who wants to really take that subject, but for some reason has not taken. Or sometimes it'll be convincing just these people who've taken 7 subjects to come to that subject. You know, all these things, and yeah, it's just movement between subjects.
So I think it makes sense then for the learners to talk amongst themselves to select a subject rather than... I know, but if I'm interested in a subject and if it doesn't have a quorum, then it doesn't really help. So maybe they should talk among themselves and
We are
pick
leaving
a
that up to the
subject.
learners now.
Can I add as a parent, in the past what we have seen is mostly KC being kid central, we have actually offered the courses the students really want to. Okay, we have not gotten into a particular stage. They can definitely vouch for that. And them being, so Aarti and Ganesh the other day when they came to have a chat with the students, they did feel the, how are they feeling about different subject areas. And what we saw was very interesting to see their interest levels are quite a big into different ranges. So right now, I would just recommend the parents, let's not worry about how it is going to happen in that scenario. Let's look at, have the conversation with your kids. And if you have seen, they are so clear. even with the form that you have put in, they have questions on what is that number about, how many you need to choose on that. So they are very keen on what they need to select and pick over here. Rest of the things, let us see how we'll cross that bridge when we get in there. But let the children choose what the subjects they want to, because ultimately they have to study. This I am saying as a parent of grade 9, okay? There's no point in us making a choice and they struggle over there. So I hope that made sense.
No, given your subject choices, we can always work around it.
Aarti, there's another question. Parents want more clarity on the 8 subjects thing, whether it is coordinated sciences plus 7 or coordinated sciences plus 6 subjects. That would be
Coordinated sciences plus 6.
Okay, so that is
That makes
clearly-
the 8.
Okay.
Uh, I don't know how to answer that question. HL math is
More of an additional version of add math sadhana. Okay? Yeah?
It's more than additional math also, because additional math is a foundation to get into HL math. It's just difficult math. Okay?
So I think I can add on to that. 40% of your add math topics are there in your higher level mathematics. 40%. So you can just relate how intense it is in.
Thank you, grade 8. You can go back to your class now.
There. 2 minutes we can close. One request, please submit the form from your account, not from your children's account. Sometimes it happens and then they say that. Yeah, we'll just finish. Yes, yeah. 20th March. Thank you, parents, for your time, and have a great day. Bye.